welcome to the new episode of the Coast Town Podcast. I am Jigga.
I'm glad you're very enthusiastic because I'm less than enthusiastic.
Oh, here we go. Tell me about.
That's why I'm totally just gonna let you take the lead on this one because I feel like I don't want to ruin anyone's day again, second time.
All right. So, wow. Thanks.
You want to talk about the comic that you're doing?
Uh, yeah. But I don't want to
I mean,
say.
you don't have to give any spoilers, obviously, but like the process, maybe.
Okay, so, I'm making a comic. Um, it's the first three major story arcs are already planned out. Um, I've been planning this for a couple weeks, I would say. Um, been writing down a lot of concepts, fleshing out the story in the world. It's the what really got me going on it was my current rewatch of Steven Universe. It really inspired me because I'm like, hey, I can make my own version of Cal Arts Cartoon Network show, but mine's also going to be like a shonen manga that has a more continuous narrative, probably. Um, yeah, I don't want to say like anything about it though. Basically,
Yeah, obviously.
yeah,
No, I just wanted to put it out there that you're doing something at all because I think it's actually super cool when people do stuff. So there's that.
yeah. I'm not.
You want to talk about Steven Universe? Because I feel like you flip flopped really hard on this one.
Yeah, so Steven Universe is like now one of my favorite shows ever. Um,
When 2 weeks ago when we discussed this, you didn't care for it at all.
well, yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. When I was in 10th grade or something, 11th grade, one of those grades, I always get everything mixed up. I watched the first two seasons of Steven Universe and I liked it okay, but then the more I started to think about it, I started not liking it. And there's a good reason for this because what I didn't like about it was um, that okay, so the show takes so you have like Adventure Time, right, which is a show that Rebecca Sugar, um, creator of Steven Universe, worked on. A lot of
Do you
these,
know what her like title was or what she did on Adventure Time?
so she was a writer and storyboard artist for a lot of the episodes. I believe she was a writer specifically, and she was a songwriter. Specifically, her most famous episode, the one that everybody loves, is the "I Remember You" episode, which this is one of the I believe it's in season four. Yeah, season four or season five, somewhere around there. This is the episode where Marceline, the Vampire Queen, and the Ice King really start to get fleshed out as characters, right? Because they and from so that episode explains a little bit of the backstory of the land of Oo and how it was a real like more human society before a huge nuclear war. And Marceline and uh, Simon, which is the Ice King's real name, before he got before before he got overtaken by this crown that he was working on, which had magical powers, and he wore it too much. And the magic from the crown made him have dementia, basically. And so, in this episode, Marceline, in the current present, Marceline and the Ice King and Finn and Jake are playing basketball, right? And so, at some point, Marceline and the Ice King go inside and they sort of sing this song or reminisce on how Marceline remembers what it was like before the war, but the Ice King can't because of the crown has overtaken him and has turned him into the Ice King, basically. And so it was this really emotional episode that Rebecca Sugar wrote, and she wrote the song that they sing in it. And she also wrote what are the episodes? Can't remember the other episodes she did, but she basically did a lot of the feelsy, emotional episodes of Adventure Time. And so then yeah, that's
Well,
basically
I mean, the way the TV writing works, there's always a writing staff, and usually the person who gets their name in the credits is just like the person who writes all the ideas down. So I don't want to give her too much credit for that, but that's just how TV writing works. It's a very collaborative process, but I'm sure she was a big part in it because they did eventually give her her own show. So She can't be like a non-entity.
Yeah, that's true. And also specifically for these Cartoon Network shows, and animated shows in general, I believe there's a difference between a board written show and like a staff written show. I believe I could be getting that wrong, but
What do you mean by that
I've
though?
I've heard the term board driven show, which is where a lot of the jokes for the cartoon are written during the storyboarding process.
Oh,
So I
because my only reference on this is from like listening to too much of Dan Harmon's podcast where he talks about this.
mm,
And from what I've heard from Harmontown, it seems like they do like an initial story pass where they like get down the story beats, and then they go over like they have someone just write out like the rough dialogue, and then they add the jokes after that.
okay, so maybe when people say a board driven show, they mean that more of the writing is done in the storyboarding process, maybe in all that.
Yeah, I guess it depends because logically you would think that you would want to get the story beats down before you storyboard everything, right?
Well, for a lot of these cartoon shows, it sort of makes sense that they would write the jokes as sort of the episode goes along, especially for these kid shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they're just kid shows. Who cares, right?
Well, okay. What? No, what I mean, I don't mean to dismiss it because it's a kid show. I'm not the person who would do that, but
Yeah, that would be me. I would do that.
yeah,
Well,
I'm.
we haven't gotten to that part of the podcast yet.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, let's take regular show for instance, right? Regular show has a lot of moments where the characters are just standing around, so you can kind of like just write jokes in there. And this, like, I can see. I'm very ignorant on this. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I could see them just writing in jokes in the storyboard. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, I guess we were talking about why you like Steven Universe now, and we got sidetracked on this like tangent
Okay,
about Rebecca
yeah,
Sugar.
that's right. So, okay, while I was watching Steven Universe, I liked it. The first time I liked it, but then I stopped liking it, and I realize now that the reason I stopped liking it is because Cartoon Network doesn't like it. And let me explain. Let me explain why Cartoon Network is like.
That's an interesting premise, actually. Let me do some googling while you talk.
No, this is actually true because the release schedule of Steven Universe. So at first it was a weekly show, right? It just had a season, and while it was on season, it released weekly. You know, like every show. But then they started doing these thing around season 2 or 3, but I believe, which is where I believe I was where I stopped during the first time. They started doing this thing to where the show released in Steven bombs, to where the show would be off the air for like months and then have a week where one episode would come out each day. Now, now this sounds, maybe this could work for some shows, but the reason this is particularly bad with Steven Universe is because Steven Universe takes the sort of new trend that every cartoon is doing nowadays of having continuity, and it takes that to the extreme where there is a very heavy continuity in Steven Universe, and there's a lot of story beats that happen. It's a more story driven than Adventure Time, um, maybe even more story driven than Gravity Falls. You know, more story driven than probably Rick and Morty. I would say. You have to sort of know what's going on to keep up with the story. But see, it also has an also in conjunction with story driven episodes, episodic driven episodes. So what would happen is you would get a Steven bomb, and the Steven bomb is only like 5 episodes long, right? And in those 5 episodes, you could be getting some episodes that advance the plot, or you could just be getting episodic episodes. And from what I can tell, the team that worked on the show really didn't pace this out well, and because Cartoon Network gave them that weird release schedule, the show sort of just fell apart for me. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna wait a month just to maybe get the plot advanced, and that's where and I think a lot of people fall off with the show. But when you can watch it all at one time, it makes so much more sense. It's such a better show, basically.
So, but you're saying that it's because of Cartoon Network that they went on hiatus. But
It
like
could be,
so
or it could be
I'm
the crew.
call call me a boomer, but I've watched so many videos critiquing Steven Universe at this point. I guess just because YouTube keeps serving them to me because it senses my boomerness. Um, but all those videos always said that it's because of the production staff that there were hiatuses. But I don't know how true that is.
It could be. It could be. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've seen all of those videos. Steven Universe's Garbage, Here's Why. I've seen all of them, basically, I think.
Yeah, there's so many of those.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. It could be the crew, or it could be. I think it. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it was Cartoon Network because they also shafted that show with the marketing. Like when it was originally released, everybody dismissed it because I remember this too. All of the commercials for the show had Steven saying the cheeseburger backpack, and they made it seem like that was his catchphrase. He says that maybe 5 times in one episode. One.
Yeah.
And they made it seem like that was his main catchphrase. They had him.
Oh, that's so bad too. That's like the worst catchphrase of anyone ever.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like all the commercials had him going cheeseburger backpack. I believe they even inserted it like to make it seem like he said it in episodes that he didn't. And I don't know why they did that. But I don't know, it could be the crew. You're right. It could be the crew. And I've seen, oh god, I don't want to get into this, but do you know that really like weird like right-wing guy named EZ or something? What's his name?
I don't know his name, but I think he did like a 4-part takedown of Korra, Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's like most known for, but he's also done a Steven Universe video.
Yeah, his Steven Universe one is like awful, dude. But oh my god. Did you see that one?
I didn't watch that one. I watched all the Korra ones, and I felt like some of the stuff he said was good, but like with a lot of these takedown videos, quote unquote, it seems like they just approach it from a place of bad faith, and they don't give the show credit for anything that it does. They just want everything that it does to be really bad.
Yeah.
I feel like you lose a lot of nuance when you do that, because like even this like the reaction shit that I do, I try to give the show credit as much as possible, even if it's a really bad show, just because if you paint everything with the same broad brush, then you kind of lose like the details in between.
Yeah, you do a really good job about that, about explaining everything. But this guy, he's legitimately like I've seen I think I saw some of the core ones, and I saw the Steven Universe one, and I think I saw the Star Wars one. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's like I genuinely believe this guy might be like genuinely racist. Like the stuff that he says is like he says a lot of things about Jews and like black people that like I'm like, okay, this is more than just, I don't know, this is more than just a joke. Like this dude is like, I don't know, and he also like promoted fan art of Mother's Basement getting killed, and I'm like, what? Like, I don't know.
But I mean, how many of us really have that much love for Jeff Thu in our hearts at the end of the day?
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't like retweet a picture of him getting mutilated. Like,
oh, yikes.
Yeah, like this guy's weird. I don't know. But anyways,
I mean, if we say that everything he says is 100% serious, then we're kind of committing the same fallacy that he is by like when he doesn't give credit to the shows. I like to think he's just some kind of like 4chaner who didn't get off the train of edgy humor when it, ran past the station in 2015, and he's still kind of clinging on to it. Also, it's probably worth to note that he doesn't ever say Legend of Korra.
He Legend of
calls
Korra.
It Legend of Horror. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of good. A little.
It's not really good. It's kind of just childish.
Well, it's better than like the other stuff that he says. I'm saying that's not as bad as the other stuff that he says. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of like edgy humor is, I mean, we've seen a lot of that on the internet. If you've been on the internet any time before like 2017, you've seen enough of this to know where it comes from.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. This guy goes really hard with it. Like more than other people, I think.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like he defeats his own purpose by going so hard, because when you like blatantly accuse something of just being complete trash, you alienate the fan base of that show completely. You're never going to convince anyone that that show has anything wrong with it that you said, because they'll just say that you're like acting from a place of bad faith, and you're not giving it any credit. And they're going to be like, you don't even know what you're talking about. They'll just dismiss you. Whereas if you're like actually trying to convince people that there are legitimate problems with the show, you should probably try to give it as much credit as possible. This is why I feel like a lot of the analysis videos that criticize something, I like the ones where they were initially fans of that thing and then they turned on it, because
Mm-hmm.
it feel they always start from a place of like appreciation first.
Yeah, I think Lily. I think her name is Lily Orchard. She has a good video on Steven Universe like that. I think, or that could.
Wasn't that also a critical video though?
Yeah, but she says she. I think one of them. She said she really liked it, but now she's criticizing it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I bounced off the Steven Universe somewhere in season 2. I just felt like they didn't do a good enough job combining the story beats and the episodic elements. Like, it just felt too fractured for me.
Oh, I didn't even know you watched it. You've seen it?
Oh, I mean, if you like, I watched as much of it as I could tolerate, and then after that, at some point, it's just like when you just had a story episode and you're watching it all back to back, and then there's 4 episodes of just like episodic filler stuff. You're like, why can't we just get back to the story about the important stuff?
Well, I think that even in the I don't really think there are filler episodes. I wouldn't even like say that because even in the
Uh,
even in the quote
they're
unquote.
not filler episodes like Naruto filler episodes, but they don't advance the plot. They just kind of do background character development.
Well, that's what I was about to get at. Like the character development is part of the story to me. Like I like that kind of stuff. Like I think it works well. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I haven't watched enough of the show to like make a very detailed critique of it, but for me, it just didn't work to the point where like characters just kept acting weird. Like sometimes they would do something and they would do something that seems opposite to their character a couple episodes later, and you're like, but like a lot of critique videos do talk about that, and then there's like, I mean, this is a cliche at this point, but everyone talks about how the animation is always so weird on Steven Universe, and the art style was, like you said, so Cal Arts, like so generic kind of. I just bounced off of it super hard.
Um, I see the art style. I get what people say about the art style, but to me, like I grown to really love the art style because it reminds me of stuff. Obviously, this is a obvious point of comparison, but like it reminds me of like Tumblr stuff, and it reminds me of webcomics a lot. Like I think Steven Universe is the best webcomic ever made. Like
If you say that, I might have to agree with you. If
y-
you're looking at it strictly as a Tumblr webcomic, I feel like it's probably the best Tumblr webcomic ever made, but it carries with it a lot of the like kind of characteristics of that genre. Like when you made your Homestuck video, you mentioned that it had a lot of stuff that happened later that kind of ruined the first part and stuff like that. I feel like that happened with Steven too at some point.
I think people say it does happen in the later seasons, but I'm not there yet, so we'll see. But seasons 1 and 2 so far, like, I really loved. I don't know, but I have seen that later on it gets more into the gym culture, and I think Lars becomes a completely different character, and Peridot has Kamina glasses, so maybe that'll get weird. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and this is another critique of this show. Not to shit on the show. I genuinely have no opinion on it. I haven't seen enough of it to say. I'm just kind of giving a counterpoint to what you said, is that people say that in the later seasons, some of the characters become like flanderized versions of themselves from earlier, and they just do stuff that really doesn't make sense for their character. Um, which would make sense if they were like taking large hiatuses and then trying to write a whole bunch of episodes. But like you said, it could be Cartoon Network that's imposing this production schedule on them. So if that was the case, then it just seems like some boomer in Cartoon Network doesn't get what it's supposed to be, so they don't think they should be promoting it or whatever.
I mean, I think the answer is it has to be a mixture of both. Because think about what Cartoon Network does. Cartoon Network just airs Teen Titans Go all day because that's what makes them the most money. So, like, and it's weird too because like they kind of did the same thing with Adventure Time. I feel like Adventure Time, they like they started barely showing it. It went on like hiatus in like the last couple seasons, and I think it had a release schedule that was kind of similar, but I don't think it was as bad as the Steven Bombs, but it was kind of similar. And it's like, yeah, I don't. I think they're just doing what makes them the most money.
And this isn't even the first time they've done this, because they did this with other shows like a long, long time ago. Like if you think of Golden Age, um, Cartoon Network. They did this with like Dexter's Laboratory and stuff like that, where they would air it regularly at first, and then they would make it irregular as the show went on.
Hmm.
And it kind of feels like that's what they did with Steven, because I think the first season and the second season aired regularly, and then it transitioned into Steven Bombs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense what you said that Adventure Time also they did a similar thing with, because it feels like the subject matter of these shows is like kind of out of the normal scope of what Cartoon Network would do. But you can't even put the blame on them, because like Adult Swim has brought us so many shows that we wouldn't have otherwise, that it feels like it's just kind of a leftover like kind of marketing model that they haven't gotten ironed the kinks out of yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad that it affected this one show so hard in particular.
Yeah, I think it really did. But oh yeah, the reason I brought up that weird that guy that is because one of the points in his videos is that one of the reasons why Steven Universe is so bad is because they only hire people based on diversity. And I think that's a point that a lot of people bring up, but I really don't think there's much to that point. Because like I feel like a lot of people just like are overly critical of that because they're on the whole anti SJW train. I feel like.
Yeah, there's a strong YouTube scene for this stupid shit. I mean, it gets views is really what keeps it going, I think.
Yeah, yeah, because he was going through. He was like, "Oh yeah, the show. One of the directors is Ian Jones Corley," and you know, he had a section where he was just listing off all the like non-white people basically on the staff, and I'm like, okay, come on, this is a little.
Oh,
Yeah,
yikes.
yeah.
Oh, that's a yeah.
He,
I
that,
mean, like it takes 2 seconds to debunk this,
yeah,
because another show that every fucking right winger likes is Rick and Morty, and that has 50% of the show's cast is women. Like, it's probably one of the more diverse writing staffs anywhere in Hollywood, and it's beloved by every weirdo on the internet. So you can't like have it both ways.
yeah. People are just stupid, basically. Put the
Oh, did you want to say why you like Steven Universe now?
Did I get to that? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't think we got to that. I think we just got to why you didn't like it before.
Oh, the reason I like it, well, going off of what I said earlier about it being the best webcomic, I didn't mean that like as an insult. I meant that to say that like, I sort of feel this spirit in it. Like, I think it speaks to creatives and people who draw a lot. Like, I I like that the animation goes weird and stuff because I like that it doesn't look perfect. Like it has this like the clouds are just like simple shapes in the background and like all the backgrounds are really simple but the color design is really striking and strong. And I think the whole show has this thing going for it where like it finds beauty in like simplicity in a way and like yeah, I just think that everything is really uh like has just strong design to me and just it reminds me of something like it when I look at it I'm like this is what like I would do or this is what like some webcomic artist would do. You know what I mean? Like it just has that has a really genuine feel. I feel the passion in it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that there's definitely a lot of thought put into it, or at least initially there was. To me, it seemed like as the show went on, it kind of got worse in that regard. Like the first, I would say, like first season in its entirety, I really actually liked the art style because I kind of like that like pastel colored, kind of soft, like not very angular, like lo-fi kind of approach to the cartoon and art style that they did. Especially when it's like paired with the music that they have, like the background music. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was a really good pairing. Um, but really, the problem that people have with it isn't so much the art style; it's like the art consistency. Like Peridot's character model changes size every 3 episodes, and like, well, you could say that if it's a web comic made with like no budget or whatever, um, you could say, oh, it's like a creative expression type thing. Like, oh, they didn't have time to do it perfectly or whatever. But I think people just feel like it gets sloppy, and I don't think the people that like the show think of it like that. I think it's more like the guy we've been talking about. It's just another thing for him to talk about as to why the show is bad. For me, it wasn't that big a deal, but when people pointed it out, I just noticed it everywhere I looked.
Well, that's kind of that. I think that's kind of what I was like like getting at. Like, I actually specifically like that the character models are off. I call me weird, but like I like that because like to me this doesn't even seem that weird because like I mean I've watched like Ren and Stimpy where like I feel like they're drawn different every 2 seconds and like I don't really care. But and you could argue right that like in that show it's supposed to be that way and maybe in Steven Universe they're not trying to do that. But to me I just don't care. Like I actually think it's cool because like I notice it sometimes, but I think it's cool. I don't know.
Do you think it's cool because they're doing it on purpose, or do you think it's cool just because it happened to come out that way?
To me, really don't think it matters. Like I don't know. I just think it's cool. Like because like think about like okay, if I'm playing Smash Brothers, right, and I accidentally like get a kill, and I didn't mean to do it, I still did it, and it was still cool. Like you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but how would you feel about if you were playing like Jigglypuff and randomly her character model like became too stretchy for like 5 minutes at a time? You'd say something is wrong with the game, not that it's a cool creative choice, right?
I mean, yeah, but well, like hold on, that would be a cool creative choice. If like I don't know.
But it wasn't a creative choice though. I think it was just like a result of outsourcing animation to like less quality, strict studios.
Eh, I mean, it still looks good. Like that's the thing, it still looks good. Like, well, okay, I'm not someone that's like for like rules in art. Like, I don't know. Like I just if I think it looks
You don't
good,
have to be for rules in art, but like if you're not you it's not like anyone told them to draw Peridot a certain size, but if they draw her a different size episode to episode, it just seems sloppy
but why but
to me.
but why is that sloppy? Like why do you think that's sloppy?
It's like, when you ask a third grader to draw a house, they draw a house that's the size of them, and you're like, oh, this is cute because you're a third grader. But like, if you're 30 and you draw a house that's the size of a third grader, and then the next episode you draw it a different size, it's not so much that you're doing it wrong, it's that it takes you out of the show if the show doesn't even acknowledge that the character is a completely different size now.
What do you mean takes you out of the show? Cuz I don't feel like I'm in any show.
What do you mean you're not in any show? It's called suspension of disbelief.
I kind of feel like like don't have that because like well, what do you mean? Because like I'm a like when I'm watching something, it's like I'm watching something.
You're watching something, but you have to believe in some degree to what's happening on the screen. Otherwise, you're just watching pictures move with voices coming from a different place.
Well, yeah, isn't that what every show is?
Are we learning that you have like some face blindness or something? Is this how we're going to come out to the
No,
world?
it's like okay, I don't like I feel like I watch a show under like understanding that like I'm more interested like I watch the show like as a show. Like I don't really get immersion. You know what I mean? Like do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I get what you're saying to some degree, but for to the way that I watch shows. Let's look at it from a personal perspective. Why not? The way that I watch shows, it's like I like to think that the characters would behave realistically in the context of the world, and like they operate by the rules that the world has set out for them, and they like follow certain logical things that or like emotional beats or like reasons to do stuff, right?
Mhm.
So like they act like real people would act. They don't just do random nonsense from moment to moment, because if they did do that, then either that would have to be the entire point of the show, like an Alice in Wonderland type thing, or it would just not make any sense at all. So when you have a show like Steven Universe, which is so much about like a grand plot about stuff and like I guess minor spoilers, like his lion is his mom or whatever, and you're supposed to notice these little things like a gem being something and it leading to them being something else. Like you're supposed to notice these little details, and it eventually ends up leading to story implications. When they miss the little details about other stuff, it kind of like it feels like they're throwing you off on purpose, and it takes me out of the world completely. Does that make any sense? I don't
I
know.
mean, I get what you're like I get what you're saying, But like, I don't understand how that contradicts anything that I'm saying. Like,
Are we talking past each other again?
I don't know. I don't know. Are we?
I don't know. I genuinely haven't watched enough Steven Universe to have a completely formed opinion on it. I don't want to just beat on the show for no particular reason. I'll just say that I did not take to it very much, and let's just leave it at that. And you obviously like it.
Well, I don't even know why I'm like, I wouldn't expect you to like it at all. Like, it's not your type of show. So I fully understand that.
I feel like if they just stuck to the story beats, I would actually kind of like the show because it feels like there's some story elements to it, but
Yeah.
it's just like swamped in a whole layer of other stuff.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how much you like that layer of other stuff. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think if you're like very or how open to Tumblrness you are, the show is very Tumblr inspired,
Yeah, it is.
which is why I guess that 4chan guy didn't like it.
Yeah. And speaking on the viral marketing that every show's doing now, uh the character Ronaldo, his blog Keep Beach City Weird is a Tumblr blog run by the show's crew. Fun fact. So there you go.
I actually really like that character and his whole blog
Me
thing.
too. He's one of the best.
I feel like the show would be they could make a whole nother spin-off show where they just show him like talking to his camcorder about all the weird stuff that Steven and the Gems cause in Beach City. Like that would be an interesting show to watch just by itself.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that'd be hard to write though. That'd be like making a Dwight Office spinoff.
I think they contemplated that at one point. They
Yeah,
were
they
actually
did.
going to make a Dwight Office spinoff,
They did a backdoor pilot for one episode.
which I would have watched. I don't care at all. Like some of my favorite episodes are Dwight focused episodes.
Yeah, Dwight's the best character. My family says that I'm like Dwight. Like when we would watch my sister's always like, "Okay, you're Dwight." What do you think about that?
Let's see. Is it just because he dressed up like Kerrigan that one time?
Kerrigan? Who's Kerrigan?
There's this one episode of The Office where I think for Halloween he dresses up like the Queen of Blades, Kerrigan from StarCraft.
No, I think they just say it because like I'm this weird like autist person. I think that's what they're getting at.
Yeah, but I don't think you're a stickler for rules like he is. You kind of seem to be on the opposite edge of that, where you don't want any rules.
Yeah, but like also I feel like Dwight has this thing where like he's like, would you say he's like a sociopath? What does
I
that
don't know if
mean?
he's I would say he's more like socially unaware. Like he probably has Asperger's and that he doesn't get when people are being sarcastic with him.
Oh yeah. They kind of ruined his character though, because like at first he like likes Michael. There's a whole video about this that I watched. That's why I'm talking about this. Like in like season 4 and 5, they like changed his character to where he's like dismissive of Michael, and it kind of ruins the whole point.
I don't know if it ruined the whole point though. I feel like he's just the type of person that takes a really long time for to realize that someone is a certain way. Like I don't know if you know people like this, but like they meet someone new and they don't see like the obvious flaw with them initially, and then like months and years later they realize that this thing was wrong with them the whole time. Do you get what I'm talking
Ah,
about?
yeah, I see. That's like, isn't that kind of like an abusive like relationship?
I think it could be anything. Like if a person is just like very like if they just like to throw away their banana peels in the middle of the road or whatever, and you don't notice until 3 years later.
That's kind of cool. I feel like that's something. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm just kidding.
You wouldn't. I don't think you would throw. You might like you. Okay, this is. Let's. Okay, here we go. This is like a skit that I think you would actually do at
Okay.
some point in your life. You might have actually done this. I feel like you would throw the banana peel down on the sidewalk, and then like put your cam or your phone down there to take a video, and then you would like video yourself slipping on the banana peel and falling and being like, "Who put that there?"
Oh, I need to do that now. That's great. Why didn't I think of that? That's genius.
I mean, you would have to be wearing a certain costume from your past too.
Yeah, the Minion Boy costume.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would just make it. That would be perfect.
that would be great. I filmed a video. My sister has one of those onesies, by the way, and we filmed a video where we went in the onesies into like Lowe's or something. I don't know why we were there, but like there was this kid who was like, "Hey, it's the Minions," and looked up at us, and like her mom thought it was so cute. We made that little kid's day.
Oh, you could actually. Oh, this reminds me of like in Times Square in New York, there used to be a bunch of people who dressed up like Elmo and used to
Yeah,
get tips from people.
they still do that,
This
don't they?
reminds me of that. I think they like evicted all of them. Like they were giving the city a bad name, and they were all like drug addicts or something.
Probably.
So they kicked them out of there. I guess you don't want your kids smelling like meth after they've hugged Elmo.
Yeah, welcome to Elmo's world, bitch.
If that Elmo guy just said that again and again, be like, "Welcome to Elmo's world, bitch."
Hey,
Just
I'm
traumatized
Elmo.
every child that went down there.
I'm Elmo.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is. Did you watch Sesame Street when you were a kid?
Actually, I don't think I did that much. I mean, I probably saw it on TV, but I have no connection to it at all. And I actually think it's a garbage show.
I feel like I didn't watch Sesame Street either when I was a kid. Like I feel like I graduated straight to all the Cartoon Network stuff that was going on. I never
Me
watched
too.
any of the kid stuff.
Yeah, me basically. I was always playing Zelda and Sonic. That's mostly what I did. And I watched what like I remember like here's the thing, because all I had for cartoons was TV. So did you have this thing to where even if you hated a show, you still watched it? Like I remember hating Johnny Test, and I still watched so much of that show though.
Johnny Test only came on when I was like, I think I was like 12 or something when it came on. When did it first come on? Because I feel like Johnny Test came on like when I was a little bit older and I didn't really watch everything that was on Cartoon Network anymore.
Well,
Because when I was a kid, it was like, and this might be just because of the delayed like export of media products to other countries, but when I was a kid, it was like Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Ed, Ed and Eddie, Courage the Cowardly Dog, all those shows.
yeah, that's what I watched when I was little too. I
I feel like Johnny Test was later though. I'm gonna have to Google this.
It was later, but like they rerun all those shows so much that I just saw them as a big mishmash. I think.
Oh, 2005. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't watch this show. Maybe it just came on too early in the morning or something.
It is the worst show ever made. It is so bad.
Yeah, I never liked this show. Like even when the first episode, I was like, this show is stupid.
I watched so much of it though, and I feel like I graduated from this concept later than most because I watched like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network until I was like 14.
Oh yikes! Yeah, I didn't watch it till I was 14. That's for sure. I don't know what I was watching when I was
Wait,
14.
no, 13. But early 13 is when I stopped. Yeah, and then
I, I think in 2005 I wasn't even watching Cartoon Network. I was watching 4Kids TV. So that's probably why I didn't watch this.
you know, when I was like little, I considered Four Kids like a sacred channel. Like I would always try to catch it when Sonic X was on, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
Saturday morning cartoons, they still do that, I'm guessing. But they can't be putting like all the cool stuff on there anymore, are they?
I don't know, probably not. I think that trend kind of died in the 80s. I don't.
I don't know if it was 80s because I was watching 4Kids like Yu-Gi-Oh and all that shit Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, Four Kids did it, but I feel like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon stopped that. Nickelodeon just
And I didn't and we didn't even know when we were watching 4Kids at the time that it was just censored to all hell, like none of
yeah
half the show was missing.
yeah yeah. Now I look at a Four Kids dub. Yes, even Pokemon, and I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. You want to fight about
I don't
that,
even
by the
know.
way?
I don't think Pokemon was missing that much though, was it?
They no, but like the dub's just so bad. Why would you watch it?
Was it a different dub than the Cartoon Network dub?
No, I think they were the same.
So I forgot. You're a Pokemon Japanese essentialist. I forgot.
Yeah, I actually don't even like the Pokemon anime that much. I haven't seen that much of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you don't know the Pokemon, like opening theme song by heart, like, who are you?
I wanna be the vet. Yeah, I know it by heart, of course.
Who doesn't?
There's a second verse
It's like
to
a
that.
cultural
Though.
touchstone for our whole generation.
There's a second verse to that, and I don't know the second verse. I've always wanted to
Yeah,
learn
I,
it.
I don't know. It's like the second verse of like the national anthem or whatever. Just nobody knows what it is because they only sing the first one.
Yeah. I like to
It's just
pretend like the national anthem doesn't exist because I hate America. But
oh yikes. Oh well,
I'm just
the
kidding.
feds are gonna come knocking at your door now.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Anyways, all right. There's my edgy joke for today.
That's your one edgy joke.
Yeah, you get one.
It wasn't even edgy, but okay,
get
I will accept that.
you get it like a Chuck E. Cheese token. Speaking of that, have you ever had a stranger come up to you in Chuck E. Cheese and give you tokens?
I feel like this has happened to but I don't think they came up to me. They just left a cup with a bunch of tokens in it, and they just walked out of the Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Cause like I would scour the Chuck E. Cheese for abandoned cups of tokens, and this dude just gave them to me, and my mom was like really scared. Cause like next time don't take that from a stranger. But I don't know. He's a really nice guy. He just wanted to give me tokens. But I
Are
understand.
the tokens like laced with cocaine or something? When you touch them, it goes into your bloodstream.
Well, I think the idea was that she was scared that he would lure me away, but which I understand. That's a actually statistically, it's probably not that valid of a concern, but it is a valid concern. I understand.
I feel like it's a remnant of the '80s. Like we still think that people get kidnapped. I'm not saying that people don't get kidnapped, but I feel like people don't get kidnapped as much as they used to.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like for example, let's just chart out like a possible kidnapping that one might do, right? So in the '80s, for example, we just drive up to a random kid on the side of the road and be like, "Hey, kid, you want some candy? Get in the car." And the kid's stupid. They get in the car, and that's it. Kidnapping complete,
Yeah,
right? Fast forward to 2020.
where we have
The kid,
iPhones.
yeah, the kid takes a photo of you, puts it to childpredatorsus.net or whatever,
Yeah.
and you go into the Clinky and you never see the light of day ever again. Like
Yeah.
the power has swung too far in the favor of the children.
Not to mention apps that track you, and some people get their kids chipped.
Oh
This is
yeah,
a real thing.
that's some dystopian bullshit, right?
Yeah, that's awful.
Like if Matt was here, he would say something about how Black Mirror is shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Black Mirror, there's actually an episode of Black Mirror where the whole premise is that the mom can see whatever the daughter is doing, and like the first big scare of that whole episode is she sees her daughter having sex. It's like, I feel like this is on you, lady. You abuse this power.
Yeah. I don't even know whether that's a concern, to be honest, but okay.
What do you mean if it's not a concern? Do you want your mom to watch you do stuff?
No, I mean like the daughter doing stuff is not a like. Why would she be scared of that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like if in 2055 or whenever this is an actual possibility, if your biggest concern is your daughter getting it on, then you probably have bigger problems than technology.
Yeah, like like if it's 2055, like also wouldn't society be so different? Like, aren't there like drones like killing people in 2055? If this is a so like what is black? Is this sci-fi like extreme, or is it just like our normal world but a million years in the future?
I don't think they know anymore what to do with it because in the first two seasons it was like our world with like one thing tweaked. But now there's this whole episode where a robot dog chases a lady in the apocalypse, and it's in black and white, and it's a silent movie basically, and it's like 58 minutes long.
Is that the one with Miley Cyrus?
No. I don't even. Is there one with Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, I saw the promotion of that on Netflix. There is.
I haven't watched the latest season, so it might be in that.
The only
Yeah, season 5. She's season 5, so I haven't seen that one.
I only saw the first two episodes of Black Mirror, and they weren't that good to me.
Well, I mean, you don't like live action shows in general, though.
Yeah, the only live action show I really I like The Office and I like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, but I mean, who doesn't like The Office? The Office is like Netflix's most popular property.
Yeah, well, soon to be removed, but yeah.
Yikes. Where's it going? Do we know where it's going?
I don't know. I think like CBS or whatever owns it, right? So they sell the DVDs, so They might just
Oh
want to
well,
profit
they're
off of
not.
that.
They're not selling. I don't think they're selling the DVDs anymore. I think it's on Hulu now,
Oh, okay. All right.
and Hulu is now owned by Disney.
Oh,
So
there we go. It all
yep.
comes down to the mouse, the real enemy. That's that's my biggest enemy in life, Disney. And I think I'm on your wave. I think I'm going to stop supporting them altogether. It's going to be hard. But it's not going to be hard,
I
actually.
say I talk a big talk, but I just went to see Spider-Man: Far From Home last week. So
Oh, well, how was it?
okay. I think. Well, I mean, it did so well that it started the whole Spider-Man feud.
Yeah.
The reason they started that whole thing was because I feel like every time I watch a Marvel movie, I'm just stunned by how competently they make movies.
Okay.
That's like it's like watching. It's like if you've been to an art gallery and you see like this sculpture of some like naked guy, it's like this is a very well made sculpture. You can tell just from like the marbling or whatever, the shape of the stone that there's a lot of skill put into it. But at some point, you kind of just get sick at looking at this guy's pubes. It's kind of like that.
I feel you.
It's like I like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's probably one of my favorite superheroes, as he is with everybody, no doubt.
Yeah.
But like they did remix it to some extent, and the stuff that they did was kind of cool, especially like the end credit scene. No spoilers. I just thought it was a cool spin on stuff. Um, but obviously now they're not going to go anywhere from here, even though they put in like a huge teaser at the end, like they always do, because Sony like said, "I'm taking my ball and going home. You can't play anymore." So it felt like this was all for moot, like no point at all.
Well, they still have one more movie to make, right? In the MCU? Because wasn't it a. Didn't they have some deal that if it made $1 billion, they would make one more Spider Man MCU movie? I think.
Yeah. So I read like a couple of news articles about this, and it looks like it was an option. Like if they made a certain amount of money, then Disney would get more money than the initial agreed upon split. So now that they made so much money, Sony doesn't want to keep making movies like that because they made the Venom movie, which was complete and utter garbage, and it still made like $800 million worldwide. So they feel like they don't need Marvel to make movies that are successful.
Yeah.
So they're just like, Disney, beat it. We can do it ourselves. And they just kind of pulled out of that. And Tom Holland is kind of in this weird place now where he could actually opt in for one more movie if he wanted to. But if it's like Venom, it's just going to be horrible.
So he could opt into one more movie made by who? In the Sony universe or in the Marvel universe?
Yeah. Well, it would have to be Sony. And we saw what they did with Amazing Spider-Man. That was so trash.
That's the
So
worst
if I
film.
was him, I would just be like, peace out. I made 2 movies. I'm still Spider-Man. Good luck replacing me. I would just peace out.
Yeah, because he's like the best Spider Man, I think.
Yeah, and he's British too, which makes no sense. Like he's playing a kid from like Queens, and he's from England, and he pulls it off, and people love him.
Yeah.
Like he's a huge hit with the kids these days.
Yeah, with the little 14-year-old girls on Tumblr, they're like, oh,
Oh
my
yeah,
god, Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland.
bro. I don't know if you noticed this, but like, there's this show Euphoria.
No, but that's what I
Oh,
feel
well,
every
okay.
day.
And no, I'm almost gonna guess you certainly don't feel that because I don't think you're into heroin.
Okay,
so
no,
you
never
probably
mind.
don't. Okay.
Never mind. I didn't
Um,
have context. Never mind.
You just unwittingly,
Well,
snitch on yourself
no,
for your drug habit.
Euphoria does not specifically relate to drugs.
No, but unless you know transcendental meditation, it's probably the easiest way to get there.
Euphoria is just like a good feeling.
Euphoria. Let's Google it. Shall we
Okay.
Google it? I've been googling a lot of stuff this episode. Euphoria. Oh, oops. Should probably definition. I think it's like. Here we go. Intense excitement and happiness, elation, jubilation. So, what exactly are you doing that makes you euphoric on a day-to-day basis, or is it something that's even worth addressing in a public forum?
So, wait, you kind of cut out there. Elation worth addressing in a public forum.
Oh no, I meant like, what exactly are you doing that's euphoric on a day-to-day basis? Because it seems like it's a pretty high bar to reach.
I don't know where I was going with it. I don't know. I just said it. I don't know.
Okay, I thought you were gonna make a joke about something.
Okay. Anyways, so what about this show?
Well, in this show, it's about like 14 and 15-year-old girls in high school. And like
Mm.
they make a point of several times to mention how much they're all in love with Tom Holland.
Really?
Yeah, he in that show, he's actually like the laptop wallpaper of like several of the female characters in that show.
That is great. That's so funny.
So if Sony loses him, they're losing a big chip. Like I don't know who they're gonna get to replace him. That's gonna be more endearing than he is.
Is this show good?
I don't know if it's your jam really. It's about like people with drug problems.
I mean, I like any show if it's like aesthetically interesting and cool, directed in a cool way to me.
I guess you could give it a shot.
Like
I mean, I don't know.
I like well, Train Spotting's all literally about all about drug problems, and the reason I like that movie is because it's so like it has such a weird feel and it's so like weird and introspective and esoteric, and like some of the shots and stuff. That's what I like about it.
Uh, well, if you want like aesthetically interesting, it is definitely like aesthetically very ambitious. Like they do a lot of weird shots. They like it kind of looks like a music video almost. Like the whole show is just very like the lighting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you're into like aesthetic stuff, I'd definitely say give it a shot.
All right, well, I think you just sold me because music videos are like my favorite thing ever. So
It's like one of those like Spike Jones music videos, like the one he did for the HomePod or whatever. It's like on the surreal level.
okay, so like
Um,
I remember the one where the dude's burning and he's just running.
there's one where like they push the walls into like rainbow slots, and it's like set to an Anderson .Paak song.
I don't know, but this sounds cool.
Well, check. I would say Google Spike Jones HomePod ad.
Okay,
That's really the one because that's kind of like the surrealist kind of approach that they take, and it's directed by a
you
director
cut
who used
out
to be a
as soon as
music
I
director.
open Google Chrome. You
Um,
cut out.
and they
Wow,
really
my
kind of
PC's
play into that.
trash.
And they also have like references to a lot of really current hip hop, which you don't really normally see in other shows. So I feel like for you, someone who listens to SoundCloud rap, it would be something that might hit a chord with you.
What's his show on Netflix or?
No, it's on HBO, so good
Okay,
luck pirating
yeah,
that.
I'll pirate it. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Do you okay? So I don't know how it works in the US. Who's your like ISP? Is it like Comcast or Time Warner, or who is it?
Comcast, which is owned by Time Warner, right?
Is it?
Yeah, I
Oh
think
my
so.
god!
Yeah,
Like the multinational corporations are merging so fast, I can't even keep track of it anymore.
I think that's been the case for a while. I think.
And I think AT&T and Time Warner merged too.
Hold on, let me Google this on my phone.
Because I know Cox Media was owned by Time Warner, and then they made something called Spectrum, and then Spectrum and Comcast merged to make Xfinity. Is that what it's currently called? I
Xfinity
don't.
is the internet provider, yeah.
So when you, for example, if you torrent something off of HBO, do you get a copyright notice?
Well, I've never torrented anything off HBO, but probably I would.
Because I get a ton of those, but like I don't think the ISP really does anything. I just don't torrent stuff from HBO now because it's really not worth it.
Wait, so do you pay for HBO?
Oh God, no. There are other avenues to get stuff.
Like what? What do you use?
Just look for like links on subreddits that may or may not be banned.
Okay. So it's called Euphoria?
Euphoria, yeah. And actually, the star of the show Euphoria is Mary Jane from the Spider-Man movie.
Oh, cool. I like her. She's cool.
Yeah,
She was on
she's actually like
Disney Channel show.
blowing up.
She was,
Yeah, she was.
yeah, I like that show. I forget what it was called, but I like that show.
I don't. This is way past my time. She's like 5 years younger than me, so I don't know.
5 years younger sounds. Never. All right, I'm not gonna make that joke. Never mind.
I feel like I could make that joke, but you can't make that joke.
Which is why it would be funnier.
If you made it,
Yeah.
didn't you just like take a stand against edgy humor 5 seconds ago?
Well, everyone's a hypocrite. Anyways,
Oh well. Awkward pause.
what were we saying?
I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about before I started talking about the show. You want to
Uh,
talk about the Joker trailer? Have you seen that?
no. Well, is that
Okay.
cool? I don't
So
know.
so I've been following the news on these Joker movies for a long time,
Okay.
since like 2015 maybe. So whenever Suicide Squad came out, whenever that was, when Suicide Squad came out, like immediately after it came out, they were already talking about making a Joker movie. It came out in 2016. So since then, they've been talking about like making a couple of Joker movies, like one with Jared Leto that's part of their DC animated, not animated, their DC like cinematic universe. And then they were talking about making another standalone Joker movie. Um, and then somewhere along the way, like all the other Joker movies got canceled except this one Joker movie that's directed, I think, written and directed by Todd Phillips, um, who did like weirdly The Hangover and Due Date in the past, but don't judge it based on that because this movie looks fucking awesome and it stars Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Now if you've seen like The Master or any of his other weird old movies, you know that this guy's kind of a little bit insane. Like I think he made a movie where he played Johnny Cash. Um, and I don't know if he got Oscar nomination for that. He was in Her,
Oh,
and he was
okay.
in. Yeah, he's that guy.
Okay.
So he's playing the Joker, and the movie also has Robert De Niro in it, as well as Zazie Beetz, who's like the love interest in Atlanta. If you've watched that show,
Never watched it.
you have a lot of shows to watch. I feel like you like Atlanta too. It's also directed by a
Ch-
music
yeah,
director.
it's Childish Gambino's show, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that show's actually really good. We could get into a whole rant about Atlanta, but that's something else. Like, just watch the trailer at some point. The trailer just looks so sick. Like, um, there's this like I'm sure you've read it, but there's this famous comic about the Joker called The Killing Joke.
Yeah, I love the Killing Joke.
Yeah, where they like go over like the origin of the Joker and stuff, where he starts off as a comedian.
Yeah.
I feel like this is somewhat inspired by that because he just starts off as a weird guy, and then he has one bad day, and then he ends up as the Joker,
Yeah.
which is the premise of The Killing Joke.
All of the basically all of the new Joker interpretations are based off the Killing Joke.
Yeah, I mean, The Killing Joke was like revolutionary in just how far it pushed the character. And they did make an animated version of it, but that was so bad that I don't think it should count.
Yeah, and they had Batman have sex with Batgirl or whatever. It was weird.
But I think that was in the comic though.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Was it not?
No.
Oh, they were just trying to push the R rating on
No,
that.
I
I
think
think.
I think what they were doing was they were trying to fit it into their animated universe, so they changed it.
Yikes! I don't know
Yeah.
why you would ever change that.
They're bringing Watchmen into the DC current comic universe too, which I don't know how well that turned out. I don't know because it makes
I don't know how would that even work though.
that's what I'm saying. It's weird. Well, I only know this from Endless Chess's panel cast. He said that the story is that Batman finds the Watchman smiley pin in his Batcave, and he's like, "Why is this here? I know everything that's supposed to be in my Batcave." And so him and the Flash like start a detective thing, and like turns out they're getting frequencies from another universe, and I don't know. People said it was kind of good though, so I don't know. I don't know how well that turned out.
Was it like a comic or was it a show?
No, it's in the comic. They're bringing it into
Oh,
the comic continuity.
because I know they're making a live action show of Watchmen on HBO. I think.
Oh, I saw a preview of that.
Yeah, I don't know how good that's gonna be, but it seems like a lot of good shows are coming up from HBO. I don't know if it's HBO though,
I mean, it
because
seems. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
It seems antithetical to the point of Watchmen to extend it, but mean, I guess that's the case with a lot of media. It all depends on if it's good or not at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, I just googled it. It is HBO that's doing it. Um, I feel like the movie was a bit rushed in all the stuff that it tried to tackle. So I feel like there's at least a couple seasons of content in there.
I mean, the movie covers uh most of I mean, the movie kind of does a pretty good job of covering most of the content of the comic. They changed the ending, and some people are really mad that they changed the ending. Do you want me to explain it?
Sure, go ahead.
So in the ending of Watchmen the movie, have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
So you know that what's the main guy's name? The evil guy who runs the corporation. What was his name?
Ozymandias.
Yeah, Ozymandias frames the huge explosion in New York on Doctor Manhattan in the movie. Am I getting that
Mm-hmm.
correct? That is what happened. Okay, so in the comic, a giant alien comes down and destroys New York. They changed it.
But what's the point of the alien attacking? Like, what's the like final thesis?
I think it's supposed to be a like sort of a commentary on like Silver Age comics. Like it fits in with the sort of theme of Watchmen of like, because like in old comics stuff like that would just happen. So like what the point of it was like, okay, we're subverting this trope. Like it's sort of a cynical take on comics is the point of it.
I don't know. I kind of like the movie version better. I mean, I haven't read the comics, so I can't comment on it fully. But like, I kind of like the he's trying to do something good, but he's going about it in the entirely wrong way approach,
I
which
did.
I think is kind of like a metaphor for superheroes in general. Like they're trying to do something good, but they're going about it in the wrong way approach.
I think I think I agree. I feel you see. Here's the thing. I feel like the ending for the movie makes sense for the movie, but like, and I think the ending in the comic kind of makes sense for the comic. Like people are mad that they changed the ending of the movie, but I think it kind of makes sense. I think people are kind of get mad at that movie because it's made by Zack Snyder and he made all those bad DC movies. So it's kind of like revisionist history. But I didn't think the Watchmen movie was terrible.
I mean, there's some cool stuff about Zack Snyder. Like, I feel like it depends on whether or not you like Sucker Punch, whether or not you like his style as a director.
I don't.
If you like Sucker Punch, you're more willing to put up with stuff that he does. But if you don't, then you're kind of like less tolerant of all the stuff that he pulls. Like, even in Batman vs Superman, there's like all these scenes where people are they're just like random cutaway scenes which look like they're out of like Kanye West's Power music video with like Superman being molested by like a million people or whatever who think he's a god. If you remember that scene.
I blanked most of that movie out from my
Anyway,
memory.
there's like this scene where Superman is just like floating in the middle of like thousands of people and they're all like trying to touch him. I
Oh
guess
yeah,
the
yeah, I saw
implication.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no like dialogue in that. And he's good at that kind of like visual storytelling. I feel like it just falls apart when he tries to put words to things.
uh, yeah. That's a good way of describing it. That makes sense.
Cuz the worst most cringy part of that movie involves them both their mothers having the same
I
name.
was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about that. The Rachel
Like
thing, or is her name Rachel?
Rachel? No, it's
Whatever.
Martha.
Martha. Yeah. Well, it's
Mar-
so interchangeable. Who
and
cares?
he calls his mom Martha. He's like, "Martha."
Oh yeah.
So it's so it's so contrived and cringy. But I mean, like, Sucker Punch barely has any words, and to me it works because it doesn't have any words in it. He can just do his visual stuff and it works. But like when he tries to make stories happen with words, it just falls apart completely.
That makes sense. I don't really blame him for that. Maybe has he made any music videos? Those could be cool.
Yeah, we should Google this. Zack Snyder music video. Call this the Google podcast. I don't mind.
Okay,
Yeah, okay. So he has made some music videos.
that's cool.
He did a My Chemical Romance video,
Did he do
ZZ
the
Top
one, the
video.
na 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 one?
I don't know. The song is called Desolation Row.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Never
He
mind.
did a ZZ Top video, a Morrissey video. Like he's done a lot of videos.
Wait,
So
never mind. Gerard Way, the lead singer of the band, directed the na 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 one. Never mind.
yeah, no. So maybe not the cool one that you're thinking of,
Yeah, never mind.
but the dude is definitely a music director first and foremost because he's been doing that since the '90s.
That's cool. I like music
I feel
videos.
like a lot of music directors are getting their due in like the mainstream
Mm-hmm.
because we just talked about how Atlanta is directed by Hiro Murai, who's a music director. He directed the This Is America video for Childish Gambino.
Makes sense.
Um, and then the guy who did, Euphoria. I think one of the directors is a music video guy. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I feel like the like aesthetic sense of music videos is becoming something that people go to as a kind of change of pace to the more flat style that TV's traditionally been known for,
Yeah, definitely.
which is like it's a good change of pace if the substance is still there, but if you kind of sacrifice some of the substance for some flash, then it's kind of a mixed bag to me.
But isn't the Flash the substance?
It depends if the flash is substantial flash or just shallow flash.
Makes sense.
Like if you're just turning the camera around, like for example, Birdman, right? The whole movie's one take.
Never seen it, but go on. I know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
yeah, I forget that there are a few missing cultural reference points. But like Birdman is this movie, which you should probably watch Birdman too, because it kind of falls into the superhero narrative.
Okay.
It's about Michael Keaton, or the main character is Michael Keaton, and he plays this actor guy who used to play a superhero when he was younger, but he's kind of washed up now, and he wants to prove that he's a real actor and not just a superhero actor. So he's making this like Broadway production of a play, and the whole movie is shot in one take, or it looks like the whole movie is shot in one take.
Yeah. I've seen
but that's-
shot breakdowns of this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not all actually
Yeah,
one take.
this is kind of how it works, I guess, these days. Is you just watch the analysis video first, and then you go watch the movie.
I've seen analysis video. I was just staying quiet, but I know the plot. I've seen analysis videos of it, but I've never seen it. Yeah.
That's just how it works these days.
Yeah,
Like
it
you
does.
watch the whole breakdown of the game first, and then you go, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I guess I'll play this game now."
Then never
Or
play
you
it.
watch like the whole plot of the movie and be like, "Oh, movie sounds pretty cool. I guess I'll watch this movie now."
Yeah. Who's Michael Keaton, by the way? Didn't he play the Joker?
No, Michael Keaton is the guy who played the old school Batman.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that.
What movie is that Batman?
That's the Tim
Michael
Burton
Keaton.
one, right? Is it?
It's just called Batman.
I think
So
it's
I
the Tim
guess-
Burton one.
Yeah, it is the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, there we
The
go.
other one with George Clooney is called Batman Forever, I think.
Batman forever. I want him to be with me forever. Batman forever. Forever.
That's a weird take on Batman, but okay. Are you going to be the next Joker? Actually, you know
What?
what? I feel like you'd make a good Joker.
What? You cut out.
I feel like you'd make a good Joker.
Yeah, that'd be cool. They should hire me.
Why so serious?
That's perfect. I
Exactly.
feel like Heath Ledger is in the building with us.
Yeah, rest his soul. He lives through me.
Do you want to like do a demo tape for them in case this Joker doesn't pan out and
Alright.
Jared Leto doesn't pan out
Yeah. By the way,
and the three other Jokers they have on hand don't pan out? You can
Yeah.
play them after that.
I just looked up that trailer. It looked pretty cool. I didn't have the audio because we're doing this, but the visuals look cool.
Yeah, I feel like he's like perfect for the part. He looks like an extremely like kind of more depressing version of Heath Ledger's Joker, if that's even possible.
Yeah. All right, here's my Joker demo reel. You ready?
Okay, let's hear it.
Hey, Batman. Hey, you want to slip on this banana peel? Batman has slipped. Joker.
I don't know why you threw in that last part. It was going really well until then.
Batman has slipped. Now.
Have you played any of the Arkham games?
Yeah, I like Batman Arkham Asylum. I like that Joker. He was cool. He's the best one to me. That one's my favorite.
I think that's Mark Hamill.
yeah,
pretty sure.
it's Mark Hamill. He's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Like he's this like very much an old school kind of Joker.
Yeah.
Like kind of more kind of more refined, not like a psycho like we do nowadays.
Yeah, I like that better. But see, they made it they sort of mixed the new one too. Like they sort of found a great balance in that game. I think that's the best Joker. Well,
Do you mean like Arkham Asylum or the newer Arkham games?
well, I only really played Arkham Asylum. I will say though, they messed up at the end of that game where they had him turn into the Hulk. That was stupid.
You cut out on that last bit there. They had him turn what?
They had him turn into the Hulk basically. Like he takes a drug.
Oh,
That was stupid.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was yeah. I don't know. The whole point of the Joker is that he can't stand up to Batman physically. Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Mark Hamill. There's like this famous speech that Mark Hamill does, like where he talks about today's the day the Joker dies or whatever, which everyone points to as like the example of the best Joker acting ever.
I don't remember that part. I didn't.
Well, Google that at some point, but I think if you know what I'm talking about, like for the people that know what I'm talking about, it's like they always say this is the example of like why Mark Hamill is the best Joker actor. Also, it's really weird that he has maybe two of the more iconic characters in the modern fictional canon to himself.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker and the Joker.
Yeah, it was when I first like saw the name Mark Hamill in the credits, I was like, this is a different Mark Hamill? Like this is just a coincidence that they have the same name?
Why would it be a different Mark Hamill?
I don't know. Like there's two Jeff Davises. Like there's one Jeff Davis that works on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And there's another Jeff Davis that wrote Teen Wolf, and they get confused for each other a lot. So I thought it was like that. It's not exactly an uncommon name.
I hate that show, Teen Wolf. I've seen a couple episodes. That show
Ooh,
sucks.
I haven't watched it. I can't comment on it at all. But they used to play it a lot in India. I don't know why, but I think it was a popular show there.
Oh my god. Anyways,
Wasn't it? It was originally like a movie, right?
I
in
think
the 80s?
I think so. And then they rebooted it as a series.
Yeah, that happens a lot these days. I think they did like Total Recall as a series.
Back
which
to
is-
the
which is a really
Barnyard?
shitty one. Back to the Barnyard? What?
Have you seen it's a Nick show? Back to the Barnyard. It's,
Do I have to Google this now?
yeah, I Google it. It's a show based off the movie Barnyard, the animated movie.
Oh, yikes.
It's so bad. By the way, I actually kind of like the Barnyard movie though, but the show sucks.
The animation style looks like very much like a CG version of Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah,
Like really crappy.
it sucks so bad. The movie I like though, which people
Okay, speaking of Wallace and Gromit and animated movies, have you seen the movie Chicken Run?
a long time ago when I was little, yeah.
Yo, Chicken Run is underrated movie. It's actually really good. I don't know why nobody talks about it.
You cut out.
Oh, Chicken Run is really good. It's worth a rewatch if you want
I should
your
rewatch
stop
it.
motion fix.
I should rewatch Wallace and Gromit too.
There's so many Wallace and Gromit movies. I never know where to start.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of things. Like, you know, one of my goals in life is to watch like all of Gundam, but like thoughts.
I mean, I can't say I'm not doing that. I downloaded like I watched most of Gundam 00. I've downloaded Zeta Gundam, and like the oldest Gundam I think I'll just leave alone because I feel like it's really old at this point. I feel like I'll just watch a bunch of the stuff that it inspired.
Wait, that one's good though.
Maybe like, yeah, it's good, but they're doing a new like revival version of it. Maybe I'll watch that. But I haven't gotten around to watching any of these things anyway. It's not like I'm going to.
Let's talk about how anime sucks.
Yeah, that might actually be a good way to end the podcast.
Yeah, anime sucks. Steven Universe is good. Yeah, stuff inspired by anime is good, but anime sucks. Huh. Shifts away to the edge of the playground sandbox.
What do you think the overlap is between Steven Universe viewers and people who like anime? Because I feel like it's a pretty big percentage.
100%.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah,
Right?
100%. There's no doubt. Steven Universe is very anime. Huh? Yes. Do you need them? All right.
This is perfect. This is exactly the content that you've come to this podcast for. I feel like I should go eat some Twinkies.
Anyways, so, what was I saying?
I think you were talking about Steven
Oh
Universe.
yeah, interesting story. A dude at work, one of my managers. Do I want to talk about? Okay, so a dude, a person. Okay, fine. A person at work.
Okay.
He's really cool.
Okay.
I was talking to he likes Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. He hasn't seen that much anime, but he's seen some of the shonen shows, right? And so he told me, we were talking about what's the top 5 best Cartoon Network shows, and I said Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans, and what's the other one that I said? I can't remember. But then he was like, "Yeah, I just started watching Steven Universe. It was surprising me. It's kind of like an anime. I really like it." And I'm like, "Yeah, it gets so much better. Trust me." He's like, "Yeah, it's really good." This dude's like probably late 20s or 30s, by the way. So
Is he in a relationship?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I feel like a lot of people, if you, okay, this might be weirdly off topic, but I feel like if you are in a relationship with any significant other, this show is like a go-to show. Like you should definitely watch this. Does that make sense?
Dude, there's might be something to that because another guy at my work said that he loves the show and that his girlfriend got him into it.
Yes, okay. So, this is how I got into the show too. This girl I knew was like, "You should watch this show." And I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And then I like ended up not liking it at all, and then she got super depressed. This is a thing.
Wait. Okay, how'd you meet this girl that you knew? What was the relationship
Yeah.
status? I'm curious
No,
now.
she was just a friend that I knew from high school, but she was like really into Steven Universe because I'm assuming she was super into Tumblr too.
Friend.
And she had recommended
Okay.
like other good shows to me in the past, so I gave this a shot, and I was like, no, this is a pass."
I want to hear about all your past relationships. Let's air them out of the podcast.
No, that's a hard yikes right there.
I was kidding, kinda. Anyways, so
We were talking about how you think anime is bad now.
no, I don't actually think it's bad now. I just think that there's more to life than it.
Okay, since you said that, since you said there's more to life than anime, can I convince you to watch The Boys?
Yeah, sure. Isn't that new Netflix show?
No, it's not. It's an Amazon Prime show, but Amazon doesn't stalk you down for pirating their shows, so it's pretty easy to get a hold of.
Okay.
And apparently, according to Master Comics Examiner Comic Tropes, he liked the show even better than the Garth Ennis books. So I would say it's worth a shot.
Okay. Sweet. I'll watch it. Okay, I have something to say. All right, new topic.
Okay.
New topic. All right.
I'm gonna guess it's about how live action is trash.
No, no,
Here
no,
we
no,
go.
no, no, no. It's literally not that at all. Um, I have this weird obsession with completing things, but I don't. Like in terms of media. Like, okay, so like I have this thought in my head where like have you ever felt like you need to play every game in your Steam library or you need to watch all the anime on your plan to watch list?
Yo, okay. So at the beginning of the summer, like just after I graduated, I was like, I'm gonna play all the games that I've been putting off for the past year. So I downloaded like Bioshock Infinite and like Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and I just left them and I haven't touched them at all. It's been 4 months, so I feel you.
Are the what is it with those games? Because I feel like I'm in the same exact situation. Like
I just think they require like a lot of commitment. Like it's like the same reason people watch The Office for the 40th time instead of watching like Narcos or whatever. It's like
yeah.
it's too much commitment. It's like you want me to learn about. It's like getting into a new MMO is how I'd put it. Like I
Mm.
have to learn a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Like Dishonored is a game that people like from what people have said about it. I feel like I would like because there's like a lot of movement glitches and stuff like that, and I like those kind of games. But I can't sit through cutscenes. Like the first opening cutscene is like 5 minutes long, and I always just lose interest halfway
Dude.
through the cutscene.
Dude, why am I like that? I feel you. Like I hate like cut. Like I just want to play. Like because I hate like having to pay attention to the game that I'm playing.
Yeah. Do you think this is just like an ADD thing that people who grew up with screens have, or do you think this is like a thing that's happening to everyone now?
Well, yeah, I think it's a thing that's happening to everyone. I say that though, but like I at the same time I do also like JRPGs. But like
Yeah, which take like 200 hours to finish.
yeah, but see the thing is like every other game genre I like to where I can listen to something while I'm playing it because
Exactly.
I
Oh, you just said exactly what I was
yeah
thinking. That's it.
I
That's it right
hate
there.
having to focus on like yeah I hate having to focus on anything. I've been getting
Okay.
into Smash Brothers though, and I feel like when you don't listen to stuff, you play better.
Oh, 100%. I know that I play better. Like I play a lot of Overwatch and Rocket League. So I know that I 100% play better. Like if a video ends and I don't have another one queued up and I end up just playing like a whole game where I don't have something running in the background, I do way better, but I just don't like doing it because it feels like I'm wasting my time.
Have you?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you ever done this thing? I feel like you've done this before. This happens to me all the time. You'll be playing the game, right? The podcast or whatever you're listening to will end, and you'll still be playing the game with the sound off, and you've played the game for like an hour with the sound off, and then I'm like,
yeah.
and then I'm like, why didn't I just turn the sound on? But then when I turn the sound on, it's like, oh, I'm focusing too much. Now this is boring. So I just play with the sound off.
No, it feels like when you put the sound on in a game, it's like demanding your attention, and it feels like homework at that point.
Exactly. There. Yes. It's so good. Why are we the same?
Okay. On that bombshell, you want to wrap up this podcast?
I mean, I could continue it for another 3 hours if you want. I mean,
I haven't eaten since 5 in the morning, and I feel like I'm about to die of dehydration. So I should probably eat something before I collapse.
all right. Well, we'll end it. So
Since we are on a deserted island, food is hard to come by.
yeah, in deserted island, in a room in the United States of America / Canada.
There's lots of islands in the United States, if you're not aware of this.
Yeah, I'm in the Cayman Islands.
I wish. I would give a kidney, maybe 1.5 kidneys to be in the Cayman Islands.
I'm Tupac in Cuba.
Oh, when that meme dies, I think will be the end of actual hip hop, and we'll know when we've passed on to the like commercial phase.
That'll happen,
Oof.
by the way. Every genre dies in popularity.
I wonder what the next one's gonna be. It's just gonna be like hard noise.
So probably like it'll circle back to like EDM or something similar to dubstep, how that was in 2013 and 2014.
I feel like EDM's so mainstream now with pop. Like every pop song has an EDM drop in it. That EDM is just pop now.
Yeah, well, like there was this phase where like every song had specifically a dubstep drop. Do you remember that? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it'll be a
Yeah,
Katy Perry song, and like, you'll be like, "Brrr," or yeah.
It's funny because that's pretty much what happened in this episode of Carolyn Tuesday, and I was like, is this 2015? Because it feels like we just travel back in time.
I feel like that's the boomers' interpretation of pop music. Is just like have a
They're
drop.
like, this is what the kids like, right? It's just like hard noises.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, the best episode of Steven Universe is the one. Well, one of the best is the one where Stevani, where he.
I knew you were gonna say that. Actually, I was about to say, is it the one where they fuse? And you just said that before I could say that.
That episode is beautiful. Like,
Wait, coincidentally, this is also the one episode that the girl who told me to watch this episode specifically quoted as the best episode. So
dude,
you have a very Tumblr brainwave.
I want Stevani on me.
Okay. I feel like we have to end it now before the feds arrest you.
Well, I mean, if you add their, never mind.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say if you add their ages. I knew that too. I was gonna say you're gonna say 12 plus 12 is 24. So technically, it's all right.
Dude, do you think like when they're Stevani, they're like having sex, bro?
Oh my god. Oh my fuck. You better not tell me to cut this out of the podcast. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's funny. Believe it.
Okay. Okay. And with that somewhat edgy joke, this episode was either
was a
a
joke.
train wreck or a giant success, depending on how you look at it.
I like this episode. It's funny.
Okay. Well, let's sign off.
See ya. Love you.
Okay.
Subscribe to
That was the
Gigabytes.
That was the Coast Town podcast for this week. Thanks for listening, and subscribe to Gigabytes.
Yeah. See ya.